We would like to welcome you to our children's book event here at the Pretty Good Books. Right now we have Miss Beverly, Miss Robin, Miss Judy, and I will go last. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Miss Beverly.
Hi, good morning. Welcome to Pretty Good Books in LaGrange. I'm Beverley Reichman. I am the author of several books. My first book is Justice and Honor for My Sister, which is based on true events. And after I wrote this one, I decided to go into children's book writing. I am a teacher in the Coweta County school system, so I wrote my Kevin book for students. And then I started writing about this little girl. She is a little teeny Chewini. Her name is Cindy. So this is her first book. And we have a Valentine's Cindy, which just won an award. We have a Cindy's Christmas book, and we have a Cindy's Halloween book. These are very, very popular. The kids love, love, love Cindy. I also am going to be publishing this fall my very first, I'm so excited about this, children's graphic chapter book. And this is some of the illustration of that book, and it's about a hippo named Hugh. You can find me on my website, www.beverleyreichman.com. Great to be here.
Hello, I'm Robin Adams, and I've been a writer since I could put pen to paper, since the age of 6. So my journey has been a long one for this book, Hope, Journey of the Tiger Amulet Hope. It's 41 years in the making and finally published. So it's the first of a 3-book series, and second book is already finished, and the third one is in the works, which I never expected it to be a 3-book series. But I started writing it when I was 12. By the age of 18, I thought I had finished it. And then as an adult, I realized, yeah, no. So I went back and I rewrote it, and I finally got it published. So I'm excited. But I've had publications with Highlights for Children, with some other magazines that have morphed into other magazines, short stories and things like that, but now finally a novel, so I'm excited. It's been a long journey, but a fun one, and rewarding. So I'll hand it over to you.
Okay, my name is Judy Gilliam, and I have 2 books that I want to share, but you're taking up some of my space, so I'm going to put them up here real quick, and then I'm going to sit up tall, and I'm going to tell you about my journey. I wrote a book called Florence and Her Fantastic Family Tree. It was really based on my own children and grandchildren's questions about who some of these strange people were in our family and where she fit into that constellation. And I wrote this book, and then I started sending out the manuscript to publishers. There's a big book called Children's Writers and Illustrators Market, and it's a very bulky book, and inside of it are all these publishing houses. And I painstakingly went through and I looked to see where my book might fit. Some of the publishing companies say we only want stories about Southwest American Indians, or we only want nautical tales. So you have to, it became a job for me to find the publishers that might be interested. And after about 120 rejections, which you have to learn to deal with, I was looking at my email one day, and a publishing company from California named Familius Publishing Company sent me an email and said, "Dear Judy, we think your book is very clever and we'd like to publish it." Well, as we say in the South, I just about fell out.
We say
But I was
hallelujah.
very happy, and that began a journey of turning my work over to a publishing company, and they do everything. They pick the illustrator, they do the editing, they do the marketing, they do everything. And so that was my experience, and it was a very good experience and continues to be a good experience. And then a friend of mine, who's a clinical psychologist, she has a Boston Terrier who comes to her office and helps with her patients. And they find it very comforting, and I said to her, we need to write a children's book about T-Dog. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up is because my experience in having someone else publish it and market it and find the illustrator was very different than my experience of having to do all of it myself. You have to actually upload it to a publishing site, you have to get the illustrator, you have to make every decision. So it was a very different journey in terms of publishing. But I think I've learned a lot if I go forward with this, because I know both sides of it now. And it's exhilarating and it's exhausting, but it's been a lot of fun. I too have a website, which you probably won't remember, but I'll say it anyway, www.buy, B-Y, not B-U-Y, buyjudygilliam.com, and I try to put all the events and occasions on there and other things that relate to this publishing. But it's been a journey, and I've learned an awful lot, and one major thing I've learned is you have to take criticism well. You have to be thick-skinned, because you're going to get criticized when you put yourself out there. One quick example of that is when the editors got my manuscript and we began to publish this, they said, ooh, I don't know, I don't think you should name an Asian child Lily, because that was the child's name in the book, was Lily. And they said, no, we don't think that's a good idea, that's too stereotypical, which I had absolutely no idea. But I had to listen to what others were saying in order to make a book. So you just never know. But anyway, I'm talking too much, but ask my friend here, Ann, to continue.
Well, my name is Ann Rhodes, and I started writing when I was 8 years old. I never really discovered my gift of writing until I was sitting in my 6th grade language arts class, and my 6th grade language arts teacher, we was watching the inauguration of President Clinton, and Dr. Maya Angelou read her poem on the pulse of morning, and that really gave me some inspiration. So I started my journey. I've gotten my poems published in school newspapers, local newspapers, but my biggest dream was always to write a book. So finally, several years later, I actually published my first book. I have a picture of it here, from the beginning until now. That is one of my poetry books. And then I published my second poetry book, In Sight to Behold. And then I published 2 devotional books. And I am also, my background, I am an elementary school teacher. I've been with the Troup County School District for about 20 years now. And I currently teach 2nd grade. And once I started teaching 2nd grade, I started teaching reading every day. And with the COVID-19 shutdown of school, I actually decided to create a children's book. So my first children's book is Magnet Magnificent Mouse. And basically, Magnet Magnificent Mouse is a children's book character where he goes around and he visits different schools. And he looks for that child that might be having some trouble or having a difficult time in school. So Magnet Magnificent Mouse, he'll go in, he'll hide around different stuff, and once he identifies that child, he'll go over and encourage that child to do better. And he really doesn't come out until the very end. So my children's book series I'm actually creating. The first book is Magnet Magnificent Mouse Follows Directions, and the second book is Magnet Magnificent Mouse Shows Responsibility. It is created, or is centered around the PBIS to encourage positive behavior. Between the 2 books, this book is my favorite. Magnet Magnificent Mouse Shows Responsibility, because it's named after my mother. My mother passed away in January, so I was glad that she was able to see this book published before she passed away. But again, I just like to encourage positive behavior. And that's pretty much a summary of my story there. Thank you.
Do we have any questions from our audience?
So far, which route do you like better? Finding your own illustrator and publisher, or doing it yourself?
I have to say, in terms of ease, it's much easier for someone to decide that they like your story and they are willing to publish it and they're willing to take on all the responsibility. That's the good part of that. The other part of it is that if you publish your own books, you're in complete control. And so you don't have to defer to someone who thinks that you've used a name that might be offensive when you don't really understand that concept. And no one's been able to tell me why. So,
Did you change it?
I did change it because I did a little bit of pushback because I said I had no idea that Lily was a name that was stereotypical of Asian children. I had no idea. And I pushed back a little bit, and then they pushed back and said, we think we should change it, and it was changed to Caitlin. So there you go. But the good part about publishing your own book is these ladies can tell you is you're in charge, you're in control, and but you also are doing everything. And so I hope there's good and bad in both ways, in both.
Now, this book, being my first publication for a novel, I wanted it to be traditional publishing, like her book there. I found a hybrid publisher who did the traditional publishing, so I didn't have to pay her anything. However, the downside is I have to do all the marketing. So it's not, like hers, it's not 100% taken on by the publisher, so 50-50 basically. So, but it's on me. How many books I wanna sell, I have to get it out there and get my name out there and the book out there. So, and I kind of like that because, again, it's on me, you know, I can't blame anybody but myself. However, there were some things I noticed when she published it that I know now, I've learned in the next book, if I have her do it again, that for the next book, I will be doing some changes on the formatting and whatnot as well. You know, so, but for a first experience, I've been pleased for the most part with the traditional publishing. But I'm also a lot more confident now to self-publish, possibly for the next one.
And independent authors are really, in the self-publishing, are now starting to be recognized a lot more. So I've enjoyed my experience in self-publishing. I have a new publisher now who does and it's a hybrid, who does my books, and they do a tremendous job, and they're very supportive. It's bookbaby.com, and they turn it around within a matter of months and not years. So I'm very, very pleased with the hybrid method of publishing. It is a lot of marketing. I've learned, I retired July of last year so that I could start the marketing process, and it's very involved. But it's wonderful to learn. I really enjoy learning it.
And I enjoy doing self-publishing. I don't format, I pretty much hire different people to do it. But a lot of times if you go through, you know, traditional or going through a publishing company, it's a lot of times it's kind of cheaper to actually do it yourself. But I learned how to outsource, but I'm trying to learn how to do a lot of stuff myself. I'm not an artist, so I definitely have to hire somebody to do that, but I'm trying to figure out the other stuff, the other legwork to it. So, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
One thing that I've tried to do is especially with the self-published book, is to treat this as a job. I mean, I get up, I'm retired, and I go to work. I go to work finding people that might be interested. I contact agents, I contact publishing companies, I contact bookstores, festivals that are around, particularly around the Southeast. There's a wonderful book festival in Mississippi called Mississippi Book Festival, and it takes place on the Capitol grounds and all sorts of adjoining buildings in Jackson, Mississippi, and it is spectacular. It's a wonderful event to begin with, and then as an author you can have your table there and enjoy the amazing people that they have to come speak as well as sell your book. And this year my co-author and I are actually going to take T-Dog with us to the Mississippi Book Festival, which has been a real fun thing to do. The last few events we've done, we've actually had our little Boston Terrier there. But you really do have to look at it as a job, and you have to take it seriously, because especially in the case of self-publishing, nobody's going to come do it for you. In this case, my marketing people at Familius, they will get in touch with me and say, we need you or here's an opportunity to be on this particular radio show or podcast, or to do this virtual bookstore. And you know, that's wonderful, but when you're self-publishing, you're doing it, and you have to put yourself out there. And I mean, I've already learned so much from just the conversation here with these ladies as to other opportunities that I would have, so I'm thankful for that.
And as they said earlier about marketing, when you're self-published, marketing is probably the most difficult task in being a self-published author. And just like she was saying, any type of event that I see posted, I try to make myself known, because you're gonna be your own spokesperson. So any type of event that comes up, I try to be a part of it. Are there any other questions?
Any other questions?
No.
Well, we want to thank you. We want to thank everyone